One of the funny things that we see is people always questioning, is Serbia going to be entering the EU? And I just read an article this morning that EU enlargement failure, Balkan gray zone risks, and it talks about Serbia and how Serbia is misbehaving when it comes to the EU alignment and entering the EU, and how Serbia is essentially bad because they're keeping relations with other countries. And I've talked about this before on other videos, and it just I love the propaganda that comes out there from these, these parties of groups that think that because you have some sort of power with a coalition of countries, that somehow that a certain country has to bend to your will because somehow there's a benefit. The funny thing is that yes, Serbia did apply for EU membership. What was it, back in 2020 or sorry, 2012? And since then, nothing. They actually have Montenegro entering this year, which is going to, in my opinion, completely decimate the country. And I think this is one of the reasons that Serbia is not aligning with a lot of the powers here. This article talks about Europe's Balkan gray zone, the strategic price of delayed enlargement. And it basically talks about Serbia, how Serbia is the problem why the EU can't enlarge anymore. Now, my question is, how, enlargement, it's up to a sovereign country if they decide to join or not. And if you're going to pressure a country into joining and saying you have to do it my way or else, there's no incentive. Like, if I have a individual that wants to work with us and says I want to work with you or for you, but you have to do things my way, and if those things don't align with my own beliefs, my own way of doing business, then why am I going to do that? You want me to join you, and if I don't join you, that's fine with me. But if I don't join you, that's somehow a issue. I don't understand this type of relationship. It's almost like if someone's in mental abuse when you hear these type of saying. So the European Union has not lost the Western Balkan economically. It risks losing the power to convert economic predominance into political alignment. Serbia remains tied to the European market while preserving strategic partnerships with Russia and China. Bosnia and Herzegovina advances formally toward accession while constitutionally fragmentation weakens implementation. Turkey, meanwhile, is building a regional network of mediation, trade, and institutional access. This is not conventional geopolitical replacement. It is a selective external penetration of energy, mining, infrastructure, finance, and veto-bearing institutions. The EU still possesses the region's largest market investment based and security architect, but without a credible relationship between reform and membership, that overwhelming presence can coexist with declined strategic authority. Yeah, you do have a great market in the European Union. However, it is a failing market. Many countries are not looking to remain in the European Union, and I would be surprised if the European Union exists in the next 5 to 10 years. I believe that is on a downhill spiral. Even if Montenegro joins, I don't think it's going to be for long. Like I said, it's not working out for them in many ways. What the EU originally stood for is not what they're standing for anymore. Now they're being more about wars somehow instead of being economically driving economics, which to me does not make sense why you would go from this is what we do to this is what we do. You know, that's like saying we help people here relocate to Serbia, but all of a sudden I'm going to get into car manufacturing. And it's going to be called Relocation Serbia Car Manufacturing. Just simply doesn't work, right? The article continues to go on saying, a promise without delivery. Serbia opened accession negotiations in to the 21st of 2014, so that was my mistake on the 2012. 12 years later, only 22 of the 35 chapters have been opened, and two previously or provisionally closed. The last new cluster was activated in December 2021. The Commission's November 2025 assessment stated that reform implementation had slowed significantly despite Belgrade continuing to describe membership as its strategic objective. It goes on to talk about how we still have relations with Russia, we have relations with China. Well, when you look at what those other two countries are doing here, like China is building a substantial amount of highways and roads here in Serbia. This is only my third year here in Serbia, but talking to a lot of locals here, they said the amount of roads that have been put up is astronomical. We've also had sanctions from the United States onto certain Russian-owned gas companies here. The issue is that Serbia has a longer-standing relationship with Russia than it does with majority of these other countries, and I've mentioned that before. Now, why is it that the European Union is going to say, hey, listen, you have to, this is all the benefits, we're going to show you all the benefits of joining the European Union. But then on the other hand, I'm not going to show you all the things that are going to hinder your country, all the doctors and engineers that are going to invade your country. You're seeing that in European countries or the European Union countries. You're seeing the replacement of their own demographics. So if we did join the European Union, you would see Serbians replaced at an all-time high here. You would see the cultural change here. A lot of the people and a lot of the clients that we work with here, either individuals who are returning from abroad to Serbia, who were once citizens of former Yugoslavia, or individuals that are looking to get away from the Western ideology there, looking for a more conservative country, are moving to Serbia because Serbia is still holding those true values. If we join the EU, then we're going to get all these migrants coming in here that we have to accept because we have to align with their rules. You're going to also have a huge push of the woke ideology that is ruining a lot of these Western countries. And for people that are looking for a more of a conservative country, Serbia is still the one place that holds that. Yes, you still have that in Romania, Poland, in some other countries, but Poland, I believe, is also part of the EU, but they're getting penalized because they're not aligning with the rules of the EU. And so I believe that Serbia is playing it smart by staying neutral, that they're saying, hey, listen, we're going to work with whoever we want to work with. If we join, we join. If we don't, we don't. And we're going to work with the countries that want to work with us. We're signing deals with Azerbaijan for energy. We're getting energy from Russia. We're getting infrastructure built by China. We're getting other deals done with other countries. I think this is a great thing in that the European Union actually binds people and countries by joining their country and then forbidding them to work with other countries that aren't part of this whole charade, what I would call it. the next part of this article is saying how the European Union has stopped funding into Serbia. So yes, Serbia was getting a good investment by the European Union, but I think that's a lot to do with just simply greasing the palm of saying, hey, if you, we'll give you a little bit of money, and if you join, if you align with us, there'll be more where that came from. But again, we're not going to talk about the things that are going to hurt you. You're going to get more money, but then they don't also talk about the money that the countries have to pay to Brussels in order to maintain their membership. And what are they doing with that money? Well, they're certainly not investing it into the countries that are paying into this membership. They're giving it to Ukraine. They're giving it to other countries. They're giving it to political parties to drive their own political ways, and not for the benefit of the citizens and the country themselves. They're doing it for their own political powers and their own agendas that they're doing. And so European Union has withdrawn with, giving that money and saying, we're going to give it to other Balkan countries that are aligning with us. And, in my opinion, that's fine. Serbia is one of or I believe is the economic powerhouse of the Balkans. The GDP here in Serbia is, again, I believe at 3.5 just for this year, and we're only halfway throughout the year, and we'll see how this year finishes off. But I can tell you right now, a lot of the people who are European citizens in European Union countries are looking to come to Serbia. They're coming here to either purchase property, they're looking to come here to set up businesses, they're looking to get citizenship here. This could be either through descent, because a lot of the former Yugoslavian citizens, they fled to other countries, and now they're seeing that the tables have turned, and now they're looking to reinstate their citizenship or get their kids' citizenship, or individuals who do not have the right to citizenship through descent, but are high net worth individuals. They are investors, so on and so forth. They are coming here, and we are obtaining citizenship for them through the merit program. And so if they are still stuck in their European Union country and they do not have the ability to come here, we can sort out the merit program for them without them setting foot into Serbia. We can get them citizenship that way, and we can also get them citizenship through descent without them having to come here, like we've done for other individuals in Canada, United States, Australia, so on and so forth. And I believe the European Union is making this smear campaign because they see that they're losing their grasp. I think that they're seeing that that wall at the end of the tunnel, that people aren't buying what is being sold anymore, and the ones that they're still dangling that carrot, saying, hey, that carrot is actually not worth the price of what we're paying for, and it's better to just do it on our own, plant our own seeds in our own country, and do things on our own way. Let me know your thoughts. I'll see you on the next one.